Well, hello, hello, hello. I am Coach Liz.
Hello, hello, hello. I am Coach Michael Bart Matthews, and we are here today to welcome you to our book review cafe. Today, we're going to talk about the third principle in Napoleon Hill's book titled Think and Grow Rich, which is autosuggestion. So before we get started, no matter where you are in the world, no matter what continent you're on, no matter what time it is, grab a friend, bring a pen, and more importantly, pick up your journal so you can take some copious notes because we're going to be talking about this fantabulous book here, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Today's edition is autosuggestion. So what is autosuggestion? Liz, let's deep dive into this. Autosuggestion is when you say something by yourself to yourself. It's similar to self-talk or being your own self-cheerleader. So what do we mean by that? When you auto-suggest something to yourself by yourself, you're really talking to your subconsciousness. You're reprogramming or programming your subconsciousness to do one of two things. You can plant seeds of success or weeds of failure. So what do I mean by seeds of success? If you think you can, you can. That is a seed of success. And if you think you can't. That is a weed of failure. So either way, you're right with that example. So it's okay if I just read a little bit out of Napoleon Hill's book and then get back to a few of these examples so we can help you to find your moment of clarity when it comes to these different auto-suggestion, positive mental attitudes, bullet points that we're going to go over. So here we go with the short read out of Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. Here is a most significant fact. The subconscious mind takes any orders in a spirit of absolute faith and acts upon those orders, although the orders often have to be presented over and over and over again through repetition before they are interpreted by the subconscious mind. Remember, the subconscious mind will deliver whatever you plant, whatever kind of seed you plant. You can plant a seed of a rose bush and the positive mental attitude will grow, or you can plant a weed of destruction and strangulation and the negative will grow. But either way, your subconscious does not care. It does mind. Its job is to deliver what you plant within your mind. So let's skip the weeds of destruction and let's go to the seeds of success. I'm going to give you a few bullet points. So this is where your journal comes in, and take a pen. So grab your pen, take a journal, and continue to write these few bullet points down that I'm going to discuss. We have hundreds of them, but we're going to go say about 5 or 10. Why? Because we have time. And number two, we want to just give you something to think about because most of us, if you're an athlete or you're having a challenge or you just need to get out of an issue or a situation, you say some of these things unbeknownst to you that you are already using some of the Napoleon Hill principles. In this case, the third principle, which is autosuggestion from yourself to yourself. I know for me, one example is a basketball player. Let me share a quick story with you before we go into some of the bullet points that I was referring to. When I played basketball, when I was trying to play basketball, and I'm going to use the word trying, I didn't have auto-suggestion techniques. I didn't have a positive mental attitude. I didn't even have the faith. I just happened to be the tallest guy on the team, and somebody said, you're going to be the starting center on our state championship team. So once I rode off of his auto-suggestion, that was the first example of me coming from what I'll say the basement to the ceiling on somebody else's auto-suggestion from him to me. But then once I started going to practice and getting a little bit better, I started saying, Mike, you can do this. Mike, you can do this. Long story short, I ended up playing in a nice high school career, collegiate career, and a professional short career and overseas in Europe. But the fact remains, had I not understood and adopted an auto-suggestion philosophy early in life, which makes it easier for me to adapt to auto-suggestion here, which is Napoleon Hill's third principle, it might have been a harder struggle. So if you are like me, I kind of know, when you go back and push rewind on your mind and you can just discuss some of these things. Let's see what we're going to talk about. Number one bullet point is when you're talking to yourself, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. Either way, you're right. So in that one statement, there was a seed of success and a weed of failure. So what determines which one of those seeds or weeds that you're going to plant into your mind that your subconscious will deliver what it is that you need to do to become successful or become strangled by failure. Number two, you can do this. How many times have you told yourself that you can do this when the naysayers, the wannabes, the never doers, the gonna doers, and the wanna doers on the fence told you couldn't do it? I'm sure as I'm sitting here, you have probably got fed up and said, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it with repetition. You can do it. And Dr. Liz and I, and Coach Liz and I, she's a coach and a doctor, so I'll call her doctor sometimes and coach sometimes, but she's both. She wears more than one hat. And she says that you can do it. Or I believe in my uniqueness. I believe in my uniqueness. We were wonderfully made with unique concepts, unlike any other person, unless you are an identical twin. The DNA may be the same, but the thought processes in the mind, body, soul, spirit will be different to some degree. Another one is, I will persist until I succeed. What does that mean? That means don't quit. I will persist until I succeed. Again, that means don't quit. I hope you're taking copious notes on your journal, because when Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich, you're going to hear us repeat this repeatedly over and over and over throughout our videos, that he worked 20 years with no pay and he wrote a journal. And out of that journal, he developed a manuscript. Out of that manuscript, he developed the book, Think and Grow Rich. Within that book came the 13 original principles. Out of those 13 original principles came autosuggestion, which is the third principle, and that's where we are today. History. History.
I was just agreeing when you talked about the history of it. I think it's so rich that you gave the history of it. And what just, stuck in my mind is that autosuggestion, meaning self-administered stimuli, And so I wanted to share a little bit of a story as well. I think I talked about it in one of our other videos, how this audio suggestion actually propelled me, and you just brought it to my mind too. It propelled me into becoming a best-selling author. My father, he did the autosuggestion, which before I even knew anything about autosuggestion, he actually, talked about how it was a great story writer, even when I was younger. As I used to make up stories and, and everything or what have you. And so he planted that seed, and then I began to believe it. And then it just, it manifested itself, because that was the autosuggestion, and that was one of the good seeds versus one of the weeds. So that was great. I love that story that you told about how, yours, gravitated into your athletic career. So yeah, I love the way the autosuggestion is a powerful, powerful tool, especially when you know what you're doing and when you're talking to yourself. So awesome, Coach Mike. Thank you for that history.
All right, all right. As I finish up then I just have a couple more bullet points, and then we're going to turn it over to Coach Dr. Liz Blanding. I will turn the impossible into possible. Now, that's a good one. I will turn the impossible into possible. Speaking to you writers and you authors, when you want to write a book, a lot of people are on the fence and they say, I can't do this. It takes too long. I'm hard. I don't have nothing to write about. But with a good manuscript development coach and team behind you, look behind myself and Dr. Liz. There's 4 books between us, and there's more on the horizon. That's because we both turned the impossible into possible and became published authors. And if we can do it, so can you. And your goal or burning desire may not be wanting to become a published author. So whatever your goal or burning desire or mission is in life, you can do it. And last but not least, this is one of my favorite ones. I look in the mirror and say this all the time. So please, if you have not written down any bullet point, write this one down. I'm a winner, and can't nobody steal my dream. I'll say it again. I'm a winner, and can't nobody steal my dream, not even me. Dr. Liz, take it away.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's just, I get really, really excited about this because it tells us that we have the power. And like what you said, what you really believe. One of the things that I was covering over here that really stuck out with me is a audio suggestion is a term which applies to all suggestions and all self-administered stimuli which reaches one's mind through the five senses. Stated in another way, audio suggestion is self-suggestion, but it becomes a part of you when you feel it, when you see it, it's that self-actualization that we're talking about. So, it's amazing. This is a wonderful chapter. Once again, take notes and write it down. Part of what I bring to this conversation is, the journaling, because it's so important as you're reading that you're actually putting the information in your journal. So now you're solidifying it. Not only are you looking at it and reading it, hearing it in your own voice, but you're also writing it and then you're going back to review it. So, Coach Mike, I think this is a great chapter to actually execute. Sometimes we read something and then you go back over it and you kind of forgot what you read if you haven't done the practical steps of cementing it in your mind as something that you need to execute. So the auto suggestion is absolutely wonderful. So I'll throw it back over to you, Coach Mike, for the principles by which this chapter is founded.
Okay, just a quick sum up on that too. With the auto-suggestion, you're actually talking to your own central nervous system and your own five senses, which are taste, sight, smell, hearing. And I put touch last because the touch equals feelings. And when you can feel it within your mind, body, spirit, and soul, that's when the internal change actually develops. So I'm going to start here with the six stimuli on the subconscious mind. How do we do this? How do we talk to our subconscious mind? How do we set the stage or the environment for your subconscious mind, which is the receiver and the transmitter, because you're talking from yourself to yourself, all in one headspace. So how do you set up that stage or that environment for that to happen? Number one, in no particular order, but I'm going to try to give them to you in order. We should always go into a quiet place. And I'm reading some of this directly out of the Think and Grow Rich Napoleon Hill book. Even though we know these things, we just want to make sure that we give into you, since you're taking notes, that you can have them in the correct order. Go into a quiet spot, and it says in open and closed brackets, preferably in bed at night. Why? Because it's quiet. The lights are out, you land there, your mind is fully open like a parachute to receive the infinite intelligence that comes in through the vortex of the universe when you're tuned in, tapped in, and turned on to Napoleon Hill's autosuggestion theory. Wow, I hope you wrote that down. And now if I wasn't talking, I'd be writing it down too. Okay. You will not be disturbed or interrupted. And yes, close your eyes, because when you close your eyes, that talks directly to your subconscious mind, and it gives you an ability to use your mind just like it's a motion picture screen, and you can visualize like you're a cinematographer or a photographer, and you can visualize, picture, and see the things that you're thinking about when you're in a quiet place, laying in bed late at night with your eyes closed. It gives you the visualization authority stage to actually see the end in mind. And repeat out loud, so you may hear in your own words, so you can hear your own voice in your own words, the written statement of the amount of money you intend to accumulate, or whatever it is that your mission and goal is. But in this particular case, Napoleon Hill is giving the money example, so we'll stick with what he's talking about. To accumulate, and the time for its accumulation, and a description of the services or merchandise you tend to deliver in order to in return for that money. In my particular case, just another quick story, I'll use my manuscript development company. Or in this particular case, we'll use our book review café company. What we're delivering is solid, sound, time-tested, proven years of research and development from Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich, and we're in turn giving it back to you in practical experience, short stories, and knowledge, wisdom, and experience. And in return for that, we're not doing this for money here, but in return for that, what we're getting is we're growing an audience. We're growing to know, like, and trust. And we're actually delivering deliverables that at the end of these videos, you can pick one of the golden nuggets off of each video. We hope you choose more, but pick at least one golden nugget, put it into practical practice, and just see how it works for you. And you'll be surprised at the change that happens to you. So, for example, if it's a money issue, let's say that you want to make a $250,000 by the end of this year, and just say you're a coach and you have a signature service that's I'm going to guess at the numbers, but somebody in video land, take out a calculator and see how close I am to the numbers. So just say your signature service is selling at $2,497, and you want to make $250,000, and you have 100 clients that bought into your program at that $2,497 price, and you wanted to make that by December 31st of 2023. By the end of December 31st, 2023, I will give manuscript development service in the form of personal development and in the form of online and personal coaching. In return for that, I will charge $2,497, and I will recruit 100 people. And in that term, they will become published authors. And that's where the money will be by the end of this year with this particular example. Now, I don't have a calculator, but I'm kind of sure I'm kind of close, because we do have signature services, and I kind of just put that number out there just for another coaching method. So, and that's what this example meant. By the first day of, you have to begin with the end in mind in order for the subconscious to talk to your mind, body, and soul, because you are talking from yourself to yourself, again, using autosuggestion and a seed of success, not a weed of failure, in order to get that financial goal or whatever that thing is, that special burning desire is that you particularly want. And lastly, before I turn it back over to Dr. Liz, again, out of Napoleon Hill's book, I believe that I will have this money in my possession. My faith is so strong that I can now see the money before my eyes. I can touch it with my hands. It is now awaiting transfer to me at the time and at the proper proportion that I deliver the service. That's the key. You have to deliver the service in order for the universe to reimburse you. These principles are no pie in the sky, just dream with no action. You have to understand everything that we're saying comes with applied faith, followed by one of the most important, besides planning, is we have to take action. And I intend to render the service for return for him. I am awaiting a plan by which to accumulate this money, and I will follow that plan when it's received. When it's received. And going into this just before Dr. Liz takes over, this is another key. Repeat the program night and morning until you can see it in your imagination, the money you intend to accumulate. Why do we say in your imagination? Because when we first started, where are you at right now? You're in a quiet place, you're laying in bed with your eyes closed, you're not being interrupted, you're visualizing, picturing, and seeing the end results in your mind as you feed it on the motion picture screen of your mind to your subconscious mind. Now, the universe and that infinite intelligence is devising a plan of action that's going to deliver what you're seeing in your mind because you took the time to feed it a positive seed of success. Dr. Liz?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so just so we're clear how the program and everything works here, there are 6 steps in chapter number 2. So these are building blocks built on one chapter after the next after the next. So these are the principles, and this is how they blend together. So I'm going to talk about step number 3, okay? So, and we're talking about the written. So we place a written copy of your statement where you can see it night and morning. and read it just before retiring and upon arising until it has become memorized, right? Remember, as you carry out these instructions, that you are applying the principle of audio suggestion for the purposes of giving orders to your subconscious mind. And I love that. And if you go a little further, I'm not going to read the whole paragraph here, but as you go a little further, it talks about skepticism, right? And so, in connection with all new ideas, it's characteristic of all human beings, right? So, skepticism is automatically there, right? But if you follow the instructions, your skepticism will soon be replaced by belief. And this, in turn, will soon be crystallized in absolute faith, right? And we talked about that in the video earlier. So, the principles, and we talk about writing it down, not only writing it down in our journal, but another way is to write it in your journal and then write it on a card. And then you continue to have that card somewhere placed, and then you continue to repeat it. As you repeat it, then it becomes memorized. So that's what they mean about giving orders to your subconscious. And what this does is it helps you to become, it just helps it to solidify in your subconscious, and then you start to work from your subconscious. So, man, I just think this was just a packed chapter that really, really helped us to solidify and how to execute on the steps, right? So make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Make sure that you click onto the links below and grab your copy of Think and Grow Rich and also a copy of your journal, right? Remember that leaders are readers, powered by the Book Review Cafe. All righty, bye for now.